Lying in the Indian Ocean, the island of Sri Lanka has been colonized by several countries in the past. Consequently, its natural resources and assets have been exploited by many foreigners. Its wildlife, especially elephants, suffered as a result. Hunters slaughtered many of these gentle giants. This is the story of one such hunter. Born in London to a rich family, Samuel White Baker initially followed his family's footsteps by traveling to Mauritius. After a short stint overseeing his family's plantations, tales of adventure and hunting lured him to Sri Lanka. There he established an agricultural settlement at Nuwara Eliya in 1846. Baker brought immigrants from England alongside breeds of cattle and sheep. Before long, the settlement was a success. But Baker was an acclaimed hunter, and shortly after his arrival, he started hunting elephants. But in Sri Lanka, elephants were revered animals. Though they were captured for various purposes by ancient Sinhalese kings, they were exclusive property, and capturing elephants without permission was not allowed. The elephant was given full protection by royal decree. During the 5th and 6th century, a large number of elephants were exported. Among many others, they were exported to countries like Greece, Egypt, India, and Myanmar. At the time, Sri Lankan elephants were held in high regard. Back in the 3rd century, Oni Sikritis stated that the Sri Lankan elephants are bigger, fiercer, and more furious for war service than those of India. Later, the Portuguese and Dutch colonizers captured elephants too, but it was mainly for export. It was during the British rule that the hunting of elephants escalated. Additionally, the British were implementing coffee and tea plantations alongside railways and roads. So trespassing elephants were killed freely. At the time, a colonial secretary, Sir Emerson Tennant, wrote that in the 1840s and 50s, rewards were paid for the destruction of no less than 5,500 elephants. During this time, Samuel Baker and his colleagues managed to wipe out entire herds of elephants. It didn't help matters that Baker had a warped view of Sri Lankan elephants. He stated that elephants are naturally savage, wary, and revengeful. Interestingly, Baker had a notorious rifle which was made for shooting big game. He nicknamed this rifle as Baby, and the weapon was supposedly very powerful. Baker boasted quite correctly of how he hunted large boars in Sri Lanka armed only with a knife. And according to another source, Baker once killed 11 elephants before breakfast and 104 elephants within 3 days. The hunting of elephants escalated indiscriminately, and in 1891, a law was passed to prevent the wanton destruction of elephants, buffaloes, and other game. However, it was a bit too late. Coupled with sport hunting in the past, poaching for ivory, and human encroachment, elephant numbers plummeted rapidly. According to one source, during British rule, the elephant population plunged from an estimated 10,000 to 2,000 animals. Samuel Baker chronicled his hunting expeditions in Sri Lanka with 2 popular books. But what's also apparent in these books is Baker's knowledge of wildlife. In fact, in 1863, German zoologist Theodor von Hugelin named an antelope species in his honor, known as Baker's antelope. It's important to note that Baker wasn't just a hunter, he was a multifaceted man. In 1864, he discovered Lake Albert in western Uganda. In 1869, the then ruler of Egypt, Ismail Pasha, had Baker lead a military expedition to the equatorial regions of the Nile. While there, he managed to eliminate the slave trade and was appointed Governor-General of the new territory, Equatoria. Later, Baker returned to England and was knighted in 1865. In 1893, he suffered a heart attack and died at the age of 72. Back in Sri Lanka, the hunting exploits of the British left a permanent dent in Sri Lanka. At the beginning of the 19th century, there were around 10,000 wild elephants in the country. But due to hunting and other factors, the elephant population dwindled drastically. Today, only small and fragmented populations remain, and their future hangs in the balance.